Dude, before you spend a dime of your hard-earned money on a guru to learn how to scale your online coaching business, then please watch this video because I've just put together a completely free course that's going to teach you how to scale your online coaching business without spending a penny on mentors or business coaches. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get stuck straight into this. If you want this workbook that I'm about to basically show you throughout this course, then head to the first line of the description of this video. Join the community, and in that community there is a section called YouTube resources, and I'm going to link the workbook in there for you so you can work through this with me. And if you want to know how to doodle on your iPad, as I'm about to do, I use an app called Notability. I'll also link that below in the description. So scale your online coaching business with this completely free YouTube course. Let's get stuck into this. The first thing that I want to do is really clearly show you what it is that matters in an online coaching business as it relates to growing your income, your freedom, and your wealth. So the first thing that we want to look at is how the business generates leads. And in my world, I call this entice. How are you enticing people to want to come and work with you? And in this free course, I'm going to show you several strategies that I and my clients use to do exactly that. I'm going to show you specifically the growth tax ad formula. So this is how we run really simple profile visit Instagram ads to our accounts and how we convert that traffic into paid clients. The chats to cash process, so how we reach out to those people. And then the ManyChat flow, I'll also touch on that briefly as well, so you know how you can turn your content into actual leads for your business. The second pillar that we're going to look at today is enroll. So you've got leads and you've got attention for your coaching business now. How do you actually convert that traffic into paying customers and clients so that you can actually make money, right? We don't just want to get views on our content and followers for the sake of getting followers. We actually want to be able to monetize that traffic into paying customers and clients. And then the third thing that we need to understand, and the third pillar that we're going to be looking at today, is empower. And this is arguably the most important piece of the equation that so many people miss out. It's like, how do you actually deliver a service that you are super proud of, such that your clients get phenomenal results with you and they refer you to their friends and their family members? So we're going to touch on the empower piece today as well. So if you're ready to do this, dude, grab yourself the workbook. Just pause this video now, head into the school community, grab the workbook, grab yourself a coffee, grab yourself a brew, and let's do the damn thing. So before we get stuck into any of this at all, we first and foremost need to get really clear on your niche. And you may already be running a coaching business and signing up clients, but this may still be something that is relevant for you because you need to come back to this every so often and make sure that what you're doing and who you're marketing yourself to and who you're selling your services to is a worthwhile pursuit. So I really see niche selection as being a really simple process of identifying three things. So the first thing is, do you like working with these people? Like so many coaches that I work with, they don't enjoy their day-to-day work because they're kind of collaborating with people that they don't get on with. This is really unfortunate, right? Because ultimately your day-to-day fulfillment and enjoyment in what you do will mean that you push the business with so much more tenacity because you want to get out of bed in the morning and serve your clients. So it's really important that first and foremost, the people that you are marketing to are people that you like working with. The second thing, and this is really obvious, but can those people afford your services? Can they actually pay you? You know, I've seen examples of coaches trying to target nurses. I've seen examples of coaches trying to target students. Now, there's nothing wrong inherently with wanting to serve those people, but you have to understand first and foremost that there may be affordability issues which kind of shoot you in the foot further down the line. And then finally, and again, probably most critically, is can you actually help those people with the things that you say that you can help them with? And this really boils down to one sentence or one line that if you can answer this question with the answer yes, then you're probably going to be okay with your niche. And that is, what would it look like to work with the person that you were 5 to 10 years ago before you fixed X problem? Would you enjoy that? And if the answer is yes, I would enjoy working with myself, the version of me 5 or 10 years ago. That person could afford me. And I know for a fact that I can help that person because I know their problems, I know their challenges, and I know how to get them from point A to point B because I've done it for myself. Then that is a really good place to start. And if you answered no to any of those questions, i.e., you know, maybe you like that person and you know you can help them, but you really don't think they can afford you, then this is potentially an opportunity for you to pause this video and think about, well, how do I target people within that niche? Maybe it's the same sort of demographic of person, but they're further along in their careers, or they're higher up on the corporate ladder, or they're running their own business. So how do you tick all of these boxes and then you have a good niche? Okay, so the next thing we're going to outline is the content game plan. And I really just kind of chunk this down into two segments. Now, there is also email marketing as well, but I kind of separate that. And in the content game plan, we're looking at two main things. We're looking at long form content and short form content. And the reason that we separate these is because ultimately they have two very different purposes. Short form content has one main goal, and that is to get attention and eyeballs on your business. The main reason for posting on platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or wherever you think your ideal clients spend the most time on a short form platform, that's where you would be posting content. The main focus for me and this model of this coaching business is to get attention on that platform. So I personally use Instagram because a lot of the coaches that I work with consume content on Instagram. So it's a great place for me to capture their attention. Now, the main focus and the main reason that I post long form content like this video is to nurture. So essentially my long content is trying to warm that attention up, warm the leads and the prospects up who have found me on my short form platform, i.e. Instagram. I'm now nurturing them with my long form content on platforms like YouTube. Now, of course, there are going to be crossover, right? I will nurture some of my leads with my Instagram content, and I also will get attention from my long form content as well. But the primary aim and the focus is to do exactly those things as I've mentioned. So what are some things that we want to consider when we're choosing our long form content strategy and our short form content strategy? Well, first and foremost, I already kind of alluded to this is, where are your perfect future clients spending most time? Where are you going to get the eyeballs from those people, from that ICP? So as I mentioned, my ideal client is coaches and they spend a lot of time on Instagram. You might work with people in the corporate world and they spend a lot of time on platforms like LinkedIn. So you really just have to think first and foremost, if I'm going to be spending time trying to get attention with my short form content, where am I best placing my efforts and my time and energy posting content? The second thing that I like to think about is what suits me the best. And when I'm talking about what suits me, I'm talking about what do I enjoy consuming from a long form standpoint? Is it podcasts? Do I like face to camera YouTube? Do I like tutorial videos? Because the more that you like to consume a particular type of content, there's a higher likelihood and percentage of you being able to recreate that type of content in an efficient and effective way. If I'd never watched a YouTube video where somebody is explaining something on an iPad or going through a presentation, then it would be difficult for me to recreate that style of content for my audience because I just have no experience in watching it. So what do you enjoy? What do you consume? And also, what do you think would be useful for your leads, for your prospects, and for your potential future clients? Once you've kind of figured out where you should be posting the content based on where your ideal clients are spending the most time, what content suits you in terms of the stuff that you enjoy to consume and create, what stuff is going to be useful for your potential future clients, you've then got a pretty clear idea of your short form platform, your long form platform, and the style and format of content that you're going to be making. Okay, so we've started making content now, and obviously there are lots of nuanced detail as to what sort of content you should be making and how you make really good hooks and how you come up with good ideas. But I want to just get you into the frame of thinking that you've got a plan for what platforms you're going to be posting and what style of content you're going to be posting. We now need a way of capturing leads. Okay, because we're not posting content for posting content's sake. We want to turn those views and the attention that you're going to get from your efforts into somebody who gives over their name and email address because they're interested in working with you. And the simplest and the best way to do this is we're going to create a lead magnet that is highly relevant to your ideal future clients, incredibly thorough, so in-depth and detailed. We want to make sure that we are setting a great first impression, which is the reason that we do that. So I'll touch on that in a second. It solves a painful problem. So, if you think about the person that you would most like to work with, What is the painful problem that they experience day to day that you can solve with a lead magnet? And as I mentioned just a moment ago, it sets an amazing first impression. But critically, and this is a really key one that people forget to implement, is it opens a new loop for people. So if they fix this problem, they now have that problem. And this is really where you get the opportunity to upsell people into your coaching program with a lead magnet, because you fix one problem for them and you build trust, and then you open a new problem by fixing that one. So if you get those things right, you have the recipe for a great lead magnet. So here is just like a screenshot of the one that I currently use. It is a super comprehensive, as I mentioned a moment ago, super comprehensive free course in a school community. There's something like 20 plus trainings in there, and it helps people to understand their constraints, does some mindset training with them, goes through offers, how to build a client ecosystem, all of this stuff that would be really, really useful for me 5 to 10 years ago when I was starting out, right? That's who I made it for. I made it for me 5 years ago. And the main focus and purpose of this lead magnet is to now attach something to my content that pushes people deeper into my ecosystem. Okay. I'm saying, look, if you're enjoying this free content and you have this problem, give me your name and email address, and I will give you this amazing free resource that is going to solve that big, hairy problem for you. And people will willingly hand over their name and email address in return for those things. So if we want to talk very quickly about the technicalities of this, I keep it really simple by just housing this in school. The reason that I like to do this is school has the incredible functionality to be able to capture name and email address in return for access to the community, which then means that I'm collecting these leads and adding them to my email list with a really simple Zapier automation. So you don't have to house your lead magnet in school, but it's a great platform because it also means that you can now communicate with these leads in an enclosed DM channel, because as you can see here, if I highlight this in red, you can DM people in school as well. Okay, so we've built this amazing free resource, your lead magnet, that is going to turn your content into leads. Where are you getting these leads from now? Well, there's several places. I'm going to show you a few examples. One of them I actually did at the beginning of this video, right? I said, there's a workbook. It's in the link of the description. It's in my school community. For those of you that went and got the workbook, you are now, I hate to break it to you, dude, you're a lead. Okay, I've got your name and your email address. You're going to be getting comms from me moving forwards. I hope you don't mind. I promise to make it useful. But so one place that we can do this is in your YouTube content. You're going to be posting YouTube content, right? So all we simply do is in the description of your videos down here, we direct people to your free resources. So I do this in every single YouTube video. I have these little indirect CTAs dotted throughout the video that basically just say, look, if you've got this problem, I've got a solution. It's linked in the description. And it's usually the first or the second link of the description of all of my videos. So all of my videos are working for me to build my email list with leads and prospects who are interested in the solutions that I help to solve. Okay, so that is the first place that I capture leads. The second place that I capture leads is on my short form platform. So for me, again, it's Instagram. And what I basically do is I make short form content. So whether it's a reel, whether it's a carousel, a static image, but I use a platform called ManyChat. Many of you will have heard of this. And what ManyChat enables me to do is create really simple automations with triggers and keywords. So somebody comments a keyword here. So let's say they comment the word magnet, and then they get a response from me automatically, which basically sends them an email and invites them to join my school community, okay, which is where the free resources and the lead magnets are housed. So this is a great way for me to just post content, let the algorithm do its thing by pushing that content in front of my perfect future clients. Hopefully the content is good enough that people trust me and they realize that I have a solution to their problems. They see the prompt or they hear the prompt in the video to opt in for the resource that's going to help them with the problem, and it captures the leads. And I'm posting probably, maybe 15 or 20 times per week on my Instagram account, and nearly all of those posts have some form of lead capture attached to them, some sort of indirect CTA that asks people to give me their name and email address in return for a resource that's going to help them with a problem. So all of my content is capturing leads all of the time for me. And that is how I've been able to build an email list of over 10,000 subscribers in an incredibly short amount of time. Okay, let's come away from lead generation for a moment and kind of take a step back and look at offer creation, because you're generating leads now and you're nurturing these leads with your long form content. Ultimately, you're going to have to sell them something at some point in the not too distant future, right? Again, we're not doing this just for the sake of doing it. We want to make cash for your business and we want to help people. So when we look at offer creation, we can boil this down to really simply the 5 ones. And if you get the 5 ones right, you can't go too far wrong. We want to make an offer for one person and we want to solve one problem. We want to make one promise. We want to have one price until we hit $1 million. Then and only then do I recommend that you start introducing different offers and different services into your product ecosystem. Okay. Just keep things unbelievably simple. Serve one person, solve one problem with one promise, one price point until you hit $1 million per year. And this is, again, somewhere that a lot of coaches go wrong because they think that they need to have this product and then this one and then cross-sell and downsell, and it gets confusing. Now, just a bit of a caveat with this. One thing I do teach my clients is something called the micro offer strategy. And I'm going to touch on this in a few more minutes when we talk about the sales cycle. And the micro offer can be forgiven for thinking, or you could be forgiven, sorry, for thinking that this means that you have 2 offers. You kind of do, but it's the same offer. That's the cool thing about a micro offer, is it's the exact same as your core offer. It's just a condensed version. So nothing changes. You don't have to change your systems. You don't have to change your automations. You don't have to change your onboarding process. You just package it up slightly differently with a different offer document, and you can sell this as an entry-level way into your coaching system. But again, I will touch on this in more detail in just a moment. Okay, dude, we're making unbelievable progress now. Give yourself a big pat on the back. We're now going to get stuck into the sales sequence. So you've got your lead gen. Okay, you've got an amazing lead magnet. You're posting content. You're moving that traffic and that attention towards your lead magnet, and you've got an offer that you can sell to people. We need to sell something. How are we going to sell it? Well, there's 2 routes that we can go down. We can go down the route of sales calls, and we can go down the route of sales less. And there's no right or wrong answer as to which you choose. I have a couple of recommendations as to when I think you should go down the sales calls route and when you should go salesless. So let's talk about both of these, and then we'll talk about the sequence for both of those things. So if you're going to do sales calls, I reckon this is really going to be useful for those of you who are new. If you're just getting started, learning the skill and the art of sales is an invaluable skill that will serve you for the rest of your life anyway. But it also means that you're collecting data. You know, as you have conversations with people on sales calls, people who have these problems, you're going to learn more about your audience. You're going to learn more about what their challenges are, you know, the things that they want from a service like yours. You actually learn a lot by having sales conversations early on in your career. But also, it's probably going to give you a higher percentage likelihood of converting that person into a paid client, especially, again, if you're newer in the game, because you likely don't have tons of social proof and client results at this point. And so actually getting somebody on a Zoom call or a phone call is probably going to give you the best chance of getting that person into the program and sold. So if you're new to the game and you kind of fit the criteria of those things, then I recommend going down the sales call route. So what is the sequence if you're going to run sales calls? Well, it's really, really straightforward. You post your content. You're posting on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, and you're also probably posting on YouTube. Let's say this is your short form content. You're going to be sending that attention and those eyeballs to your ManyChat flow. That ManyChat flow is going to be collecting email addresses in return for your lead magnet. Now that lead magnet is going to set an amazing first impression with those leads, and it's going to fix one big hairy problem. But in the background, your email list is going to be sending out these pre-written nurturing emails. Now, in those nurturing emails, there's a few things that I recommend you have. You have some social proof, either a result that you got for yourself when you were in their position 5 or 10 years ago, or your client social proof, some amazing results that you got with clients. You also want to have some value. Okay, we want to condition people to get used to opening your emails and receiving value from them, because it means they're more likely to open emails in the future. And we also want there to be some CTAs, right? We want there to be a call to action for people to book a call if they want help with X problem. You're posting your short form content, you're getting attention, you're turning that attention into leads, and then we're booking calls off the back of the email nurture sequence. Now, something else that we're doing is we're posting long form content, which is, really nurturing. By the way, the reason that long form content is so much better at nurturing your audience than short form is just by the nature of how long the content is. The longer you can get people to sit and listen to you and take value from what you're saying, the more they will trust you. Okay, so trust goes up when people watch long form content or listen to long form content. So we've got this really highly nurturing long form content. We're going to redistribute it back to your email list. So now you've got this growing list of email subscribers who are interested in what you do, and we are nurturing them with your long form content. We're distributing it back out to those people. And again, what we're now doing is we are speeding up the sales cycle. And what you would probably do if you're taking sales calls is in the descriptions of your YouTube videos, rather than having just a link to receive a lead magnet, you'll also have a link to book a call. You can use a software like calendly.com. You can have a type form in there if you want people to fill in an application. There's lots of different routes that you can go down. But one of your CTAs in your videos will be book a call, okay? And again, when you send and when you distribute that email back out to your list, you could also put the CTA at the bottom of the email, okay, that says book a call. And then it's obviously quite straightforward from there. Somebody books a time in your calendar, they show up on a Zoom call or a phone call, and you sell them your offer. That is the sales call route. It isn't any more complicated than that. Okay, now let's look at the sales list route. Now, this is personally the route that I use currently. It's the route that I prefer, but I think that this is probably a slightly more advanced tactic for those of you that have been in the game for a bit longer. Maybe you've got loads of client case studies and social proof and results, such that you don't really need to get people on calls to sell them. But if you want to go salesless, then here is basically how I do it. Everything is the same. Post content, get the leads, nurture the leads. The only difference here is rather than me sending people to book a call, what I'm doing instead is I'm selling them a micro offer. Now, a micro offer is essentially a condensed version of what I do in my core high ticket coaching program, and I sell it at a much lower rate. Okay, I sell it for, I think currently the micro offer is $300 for 2 weeks. And the whole principle here is that we are bridging the gap between your content, your free content and your free lead magnets and resources and your high ticket coaching program. And the reason that we need to bridge this gap is because we don't want people to have to take a huge leap of faith and go from just watching your free stuff to buying something that potentially costs thousands of dollars. Okay, it's a big ask. So what we do is we go content to micro offer. We blow them away with how good the service is. We get them an initial result in that 2-week period. And then we upsell them on the inside with just a sort of a 4-minute Loom video that invites them to stay. If we feel like we can continue helping them and adding value to them, we send them a 4-minute Loom video and say, look, you've already paid this. We'll deduct that. Here is your invitation into the core program. And we get about a 50 to 60% conversion rate on that. So for everyone that comes through on the micro offer, they upgrade into the core program. Okay. And that is it. That is how I do my whole salesless approach. Okay. We're getting into some of my favorite stuff now. We're going to start talking about how you actually deliver the service. And I don't think this is spoken about enough, but I think it's such an important part of what you do. A, for your day-to-day enjoyment. B, for getting clients amazing results, but C, for growing the business, because the better your reputation for getting results with clients is, and the better your retention with clients is, the more revenue you're going to stack month to month. So this is super key. Now, the way that I like to explain this to my clients is there are lots of different mechanisms for getting results for your clients. Okay. There are lots of different tools that you have in your toolbox to help your clients get a result. We can do one-to-one Zoom calls, or we can send one-to-one messages with them in Slack or Facebook or wherever you want to message them. You can have group calls, or you can send group messages, okay? You can do in-person events. You can text them. You can give them a course that gives them the knowledge that they need to achieve the result. You can send them Loom videos. You can give them a personalized strategy. The list kind of goes on and on. There's probably some things in here that I've missed. Now, the mistake that I see so many coaches making is they just choose one or two things. Okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then they cancel all the other things out and they set a fixed and a rigid schedule with their delivery. Okay, so a classic example of this might be, right, you join my coaching program, it's one-to-one, you're going to get a personalized strategy or plan from me, and we're going to jump on Zoom every week, and we're going to see how your week's gone and make amendments for the week moving forwards. Or you can kind of replace the Zoom with a Loom video or whatever, right? But that's like how most coaches do their coaching. Now, the problem with this approach is you typically end up either A, spending time with clients and wasting your time with clients who don't need your support in that moment because they're thriving and they're doing well, or B, even worse, dealing with problems that have been and gone because you're on a fixed schedule and cadence of communication with that client, and they were struggling with something earlier in the week, but you're not due to speak to them until Thursday next week. So in any eventuality, both of those situations are bad for you and bad for the client. So what we do in Remote Pro and how I teach my clients to deliver their service is to include all of these things, okay? They are all valuable assets in your toolbox to help your clients get a result. The difference being is you pick and choose what the client needs when they need it. You have very clear rules of engagement and boundaries around communication and how people book in with you and so on and so forth. And you as the coach decide what the client needs at what moment, and you deliver that to them. Now, this is incredible because not only are you supporting your clients in the moment that they need it, but you're also freeing yourself up from having calls in your calendar that just aren't required. And this makes your one-to-one coaching business so much more scalable than the old model of having a fixed check-in schedule with your clients. So there's one thing that I urge you to take away from today's session. It's the one-to-one access stack approach. It will completely change the game for your coaching business. Okay, the final thing that I want to touch on is scaling this entire system with ads, and I call them the growth tax ads. And rather than me kind of trying to show you step by step how you do this in this YouTube video, because it's quite techy, there's buttons to click, I'm going to help you write a script for the copy for the ad so it performs well. I'm going to tell you how to shoot the video, what audio to use, all of that stuff. I've actually, again, got this in my free school community. So when you get in there, there is a lesson on growth tax ads, and that is going to show you step by step absolutely everything that you need to know to get your ads up and running and bringing in new leads on a daily basis. So again, to get hold of that free course, just follow the link in the description for my school community and then head into the Unlock New Revenue Now section of the course, and you'll be able to get access to that training. Dude, don't spend a dime with a mentor or a business coach until you've implemented everything that I've shown you in this video. It's going to really help you take your coaching business either from the ground to the next level or from where you are to the level above that. Hope this has been useful, and I'll see you soon. Peace and love.